Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to TED Talks Ball. We got a special Tuesday afternoon edition, a special Behind Enemy Lines edition. We've got John Vogel. You may know him on Twitter as @DraftVogel. I believe that's the same handle on YouTube for his YouTube channel. So he's a big Eagles fan, content creator, and a big draft college football expert as well, too. A man of many talents. John has been on the show before, back, I believe, before the NFC Championship game, but for sure in the offseason. And coming back again to come behind enemy lines. Oh, let me get his banner going here. That should have been playing. And John, if there's any changes to that, I should have asked you while we were backstage, but feel free to
No,
tell me anything you want, anything I may have missed, anything you got going on that you want to promote, anything like that. Give it a whirl.
Man, just, NFL draft season's already upon us. So you can purchase my draft guide. It's a OneNote document. It's live. It's basically, there's nothing like it on the market right now. And it's for $40. You can get on there and get that. And we're 25 to 3,000 prospects deep in it. So pretty much anybody you can think of, I've got some notes on them. So get ready for the draft season. We're going to have basically draft boards for all 32 teams as well on there. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice. I might just have to buy that, John, because it turns out the 49ers have a first-round draft pick this year for the first time. I guess technically we had one in 2021, but we all knew it was going for a QB. But I did do a lot of scouting, that draft. I scouted Zach Wilson. I scouted Mac Jones. I scouted Justin Fields. And I scouted tape. There weren't a lot of live games, obviously, of Trey Lance in 2020, but I scouted tape of his, and so I've been not as big on the draft since we haven't had any first round draft picks. And then this year we didn't have a first or a second. We didn't have anything until the third round comp picks actually this year. So it kind of took me out of the drafting or scouting, if you will. But I think this year I might have to dive back in a little bit more. Maybe you can help me a little.
Yeah, well, hopefully the guide helps because it's going to have everybody in there that you're going to pick and probably a lot of the undrafted free agent guys to come in. So, now you can be an expert on top of your guys before anybody else is in the biz. So
I like it. Well, thanks for coming in today. We are, I guess we're not streaming to your channel. Did you want to set that up at all?
I'm good for now, but
okay, cool.
I got you.
Cool. Right on. Let's see. We got Red Jet Shell in the house. She's a member of TED Talks Ball. She says, hello, chat. Niners. Welcome, Shell. She's saying Ted and John. She's saying hi. Thanks. He's back. Yeah, I'm back. If you met John, he's back too. Yeah, but I'm back. I was just on with Mitch Kofsky earlier. I had Ryan from BSing Sports on yesterday. So you're my third Eagles content creator within the last 2 days.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so getting eagled out here. It's good. I love to get different opinions of people that aren't, in the 49ers echo chamber of my team to get fresh perspectives and see what outsiders think. It was cool talking to you during the offseason. I will say I was right about the Rams. You were saying that you thought they were going to be a little more – you weren't saying you thought they'd be a playoff team, but that they would be a little more of a trouble. Well, I guess they did sweep the Seahawks, so I guess you're not wrong there. But I think you thought they'd have a little better record than they have right now.
Yeah, and they're super young right now too. That's the other thing. And
Cooper Kupp's been out most of the
season.
Cooper
Kupp, yep, he's been hurt. And then they, their running game has really been Kyren Williams this year.
And he's been
yeah, and he just finally came back, and boom, the offense exploded again. So I think Kyren Williams is a huge part of what they're doing. Cooper back now healthy. I think that they're going to make a nice little run here at the end of the season.
There you go. Randy says, anyone else pumped for the draft? John,
always,
draft expert.
Always. I'm always pumped for it.
You'll be glad to know I had another draft expert on too. And I'm blanking on his name right now. He's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and he was pretty bullish on the Rams too. It was kind of interesting. You guys both were kind of echoing that sentiment. I'm not necessarily dethroning the Niners or Seahawks in the NFC West, but both giving us both trouble. Alex Oh man, I'll have to look through my DMs and find it. Um, but anyway, not right now. Um, it just was interesting that you guys both had that same take on that, and I respect both of your opinions highly. So, um, Randy and Red Jet are just saying hi. We still have 11 picks because we actually have 12. We couldn't use one before because we had too many. Interesting. Um, yeah, I mean, a lot of picks. We have a lot of third round comp picks. I guess one less because we traded one for Chase Young, which is a pretty good move, I think. Um, how much to become a member? I believe it's $2.99 a month, Randy. So it is a recurring revenue or a recurring cost for you, revenue for me. Said too many comps, couldn't use them all. Interesting. So some spilled over, I guess, or we lost some. But yeah, it's $2.99 a month, and feel free to join. I don't want to put pressure on anybody, but definitely, I thought you might be first one to do it, Randy. And now you'd be a little bit further down the list, but that's fine. All are welcome. And yeah, I got my first monetization on YouTube as far as super chats and channel memberships. So now I just got to get the push to 1,000 subs to get the ad revenue going too. But also have a sponsor, and we'll talk about them a little bit later. But let's talk some Niners and Eagles. Somebody played this game earlier, or asked this question earlier, and I liked it. It's sort of like Niners win if, Eagles win if.
Well, Niners win if the Eagles turn over the ball a couple more times than they have been here recently, which it hasn't been pretty. They've turned over the ball a couple times, I think, in the last several games that they've played, and they've been weird turnovers. Balls kind of getting knocked around, deflected passes, and the defender kind of coming up with it. So I think if you have a couple that are actually forced, that aren't a crazy bounced what if kind of type play, you got somebody like Swift or Brown to fumble, Hurts stepping up in the pocket to fumble, and then just an additional interception where he makes a bad read and somebody jumps it. I think that's going to put the 49ers in a really good position to win the game, because we saw the last several games that we thought that the Eagles have come down to the very end of it and stayed competitive even with not winning the turnover margin. So I think that the 49ers, they're a team that they do a really good job capitalizing on turnovers, and they have all year. But I think that for the 49ers to win, that's what's going to have to happen. For the Eagles to win, they don't turn the ball over and they just keep moving like they have been in the second half is really where they've been at their strongest point, especially coming out of the halftime break in the beginning of the third quarter. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for the Niners to hang on with that.
There you go. Randy Daytona was saying birds are creepy. It's interesting that we're in a 5-bird stretch here. We started with the Seahawks on Thanksgiving, then y'all this Sunday, then a week from Sunday, Seahawks are at Levi's on the 10th of December. Then we get the Cards, are more birds. They're probably dead ducks, though, the way they look this season. Or their goose is cooked, maybe you might say. And then we also get the Ravens on Christmas Day to round out 5 bird teams in a row. Ravens was an interesting one because that was the one that flipped me from 12-5 to 11-6 this season for my preseason prediction, because we're negative 20 rest days. They're plus 9 rest days. Negative 20 happens to be the worst in the NFL, and plus 9 is, I think, 4th best. I think it was like the Bears, Jets, and another team were plus 11 or 12 rest days, and then the Ravens were in second place with plus 9. That's almost a whole month more rest by then, and that's a huge factor in these games. And not to mention the Ravens are looking like one of the best teams in the NFL this season too.
Yeah, what Todd Monken's done with Lamar Jackson and that offense has been nothing short of spectacular. It's awesome. Even Lamar looks the best that he's ever looked in his career. I was a little bit worried watching the game, Sunday night, because Lamar has played 12 games the last 2 years, and that was his 12th game this year. But they got through it healthy. He's going to keep on playing, which is exactly why they designed that offense the way that they've done it, is to keep him healthy.
There you go. Silly Fun Guy is in the house. He's a Rams fan, but he's pretty cool. He also hits us with dad jokes on the regular. He says, if it comes to a brotherly shove from the Eagles, who is winning? Well, obviously,
Has anybody
Eagles.
stopped it?
Yeah, that's easy. That's easy. The Eagles. I one upped it, John. I said, if it's a close game, especially back and forth game, Eagles are winning because the Niners haven't won any of those this season. We're like front runners. We do fine. Purdy does great when we're in the lead, but when we get behind, he kind of chokes or tries to do too much. I will say there were injuries involved with that, with Trent Williams and Debo, and CMC was even dinged up and still playing. But nonetheless, I have my doubts about Purdy in a comeback situation, and I have my doubts about Purdy in rain situation. And now the chances for rain went up 20% since yesterday. It was 30% yesterday, 50% today. So that is not good news for me. Because Purdy struggled against the Browns in the rain, and Purdy struggled against the Seahawks in the rain, not this season, but last year in the wild card. It was raining before the game and in the first half. And then the sun came out and the field dried up and the ball got dry. And he absolutely torched the Seahawks in the second half, including I dropped a TD that would have made it even greater torching. But it's given me doubts about Purdy in the rain. I think he may be a fair weather quarterback.
There are things. I think he's getting better. Now, I wasn't sold on him initially. Coming into the year, I thought that we would see more consistent struggles out of him. But the longer the season's gone, the better he's played. His processing's at a whole nother level right now. It's pretty darn impressive to see how quickly he's getting through reads. How quick! I think last week he got up to the line. He made two different adjustments on, I guess, Thursday night. Read the defense perfectly, calls 2 adjustments with 10 on the play clock and gets a snap off in time and drills a dart. That's what he does. He's a great processor. He understands the game very, very well. It does make me wonder what would social media look like if Joe Montana was playing right now? Because that's kind of who Brock Purdy looks like, is the early Joe Montana right now, with the way that he sort of has just absolute control, doesn't wow you with his physical traits, but just is in complete control of the offense. Granted, they got great weapons around him and everything else, but that's who he reminds me of.
Yeah, except for Joe was the comeback king and Mr. Clutch. So I think Purdy's got a ways to go to prove that, but I can see why people would say that. I mean, I definitely said all offseason, limited arm, limited height, limited top speed. I stand by all of that. But there have been times where it started to look like it won't matter, like the Cowboys game, the Jags game. He's starting to roll. And like you said, he's got this anticipation, processing. I did say all offseason, even when I said he was mid as an overall quarterback, I did say he was a mental giant, a great leader. I just thought that those limitations would have a bigger effect than they have had. But when, as Nick Wright would say, when the Avengers have been healthy, he's looked pretty damn good and pretty tough to beat. I've got him as high as in the 5 to 8 range right now after the Seattle game. I had him as high as 6 to 9 after the Cowboys. And then we played the Browns. I dropped him to 8 to 12. I was going to drop him to 11 to 15 after the Vikings game until we found out that the interceptions came after the concussion. So I kind of gave him a pass on those. Then I dropped him to 11 to 15 after the Bengals game. Then back to 8 to 12 after the Jags. Then back to 6 to 9 after the Bucks, which was very nice. And then, he's, had to bump him up at least a little after the Seahawks game. So I'm saying 5 to 8. I loathe to say in that top 5 because that's when I have to say elite. And I still don't think he's elite. I think if you look at Jimmy G and how he's fallen off with the Raiders, which I predicted, like he was leading the league in interceptions with less games played and also leading the league in not scoring TDs, which is 2 things you really don't want to lead in as a quarterback. The fall off has been huge between here and there. And it's not totally to be unexpected, especially once they shipped Waller. That was part of the reason I thought that was a good stop for him, was Waller. And he went to the Giants, and I was like, oh boy, that's trouble for Jimmy. But it just, a lot of it is our weapons. A lot of it is Kyle. A lot of it is run game. CMC is the best running back in the NFL right now, and not just at running, but also catching.
Yeah, and you got great weapons. You can spread out the field. You can do all kinds of great things with it, and schematically, it looks awesome. They're scary. They're very scary.
No doubt. And so are the Eagles' weapons. I was just had Mitch Kofsky on earlier, and he was saying when I said we have the best group of weapons in the NFL, he's like, "Oh, I don't know about that." I mean, if Dallas Goedert's healthy, do you think the Eagles have better weapons than the Niners, or do you think we have a slight edge? It's tough. Obviously, you guys have the better O-line. There's no doubt there, and I think Hurts is at least a little better than Purdy overall, especially with his running ability. But what do you think about just the pure weapons group?
Well, running back.
Yeah.
Running back, yeah, you got it on running back. Even when you start to try to go into depth, I think the 49ers are better at running back. Wide receiver, when you look at top wide receiver, Debo versus AJ Brown.
I pick AJ.
Well, AJ's got a little bit more in his catch radius and what he's capable of with his frame. Debo's a much better runner after the catch. So there's definitely some positives there. When you get to wide receiver 2 is Devontae versus Brandon Ayuk, which is pretty darn. That's a pick your poison. What do you like? You like speed or you like elite route running? That's kind of where you're at. So it's pretty even. Then you get to tight end, and you're talking about Dallas Goedert versus George Kittle. Again, pretty close to even, but edge to 49ers. That's Kittle. So I would say the 49ers probably have a better group overall of weapons to work with. But like you said, the offensive line, the quarterback definitely leans Eagles.
Yeah, so we're in lockstep. Yeah, because I think the Eagles are outstanding. If it's not the Niners, then it is the Eagles as far as weapons. The only other one I'd put in there is the Bengals because of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. But then they're no tight end, and Mixon's not as good as Swift or CMC, so it gets a little tougher. But yeah, no, it's good to hear that we're sort of in agreement on that. And yeah, Debo is crazy with the ball in his hands. It's just he drops a lot, and he's not as good a route runner as AJ Brown. So you could kind of say, it's interesting to say. Like a lot of people call us a pick your poison type of offense, but to me, like what do you do with a poisonous snake? You cut the head off. So if you can pressure Purdy, that's the way you're going to limit us. I think we're weak at right guard with Burford. We're weak at right tackle with McKivitz. I think McKivitz is a little bit better pass blocker than McGlinchey, but his run blocking suffers. And Burford, honestly, I was kind of liking having Feliciano in there last week. He played well when Aaron Banks was out at left guard, and then he filled in for Burford at right guard. I wouldn't be surprised to see us do sort of another platooning situation where we did it with Daniel Brunskill and Burford last year. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing that a little bit with Feliciano and Burford moving forward.
It's very possible. And, this is a great defensive line that you guys are up against as well. One of the truly elite defensive lines in the NFL between Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and Brendan Graham and Josh Sweat and all these guys that they rotate on the outside of that defensive line and on the interior. Hassan Reddick. Yep. Reddick. Reddick is sort of that weird hybrid tweener where he's really not a defensive end, but he's not an outside linebacker, and they've managed to carve out a role for him that's worked out really well. I know that you guys don't forget about him, but that's for sure.
No way. Purdy didn't forget. Oh, man. It's interesting. Somebody was calling him dirty the other day on one of my shows, and I was like, I don't think so. I think he was going for the ball with Purdy, and I think, as far as the horse collar against Josh Allen, guys just reach for whatever they can. They're not really. I think it's
how hard is Josh Allen to bring down in already?
Yeah, exactly. The guy's a beast. So I feel like
when you got him in space,
if he was horse collaring all the time, maybe, but that's not something we see a lot. How can Herbie better than Purdy?
I think Randy's trying to say, how can Hurts be better than Purdy?
Yeah, he's probably using voice to text. Well, I just think that with Jalen Hurts has a much bigger body of work, and so that's really what it comes down to me.
Well,
Purdy
let's put it
still
this let's
just
put it
over a
this way.
season worth of games played.
Let's
Oh
put
yeah,
it
you
this
said
way.
Hurts here.
Let's put it this way. When you got a quarterback like Jalen who's 6'2", 220, squats 600 pounds, gets outside of the pocket, can run, is an athlete, has a really good arm, can push the ball down the field, and is improved in the accuracy areas. When you look at a guy that's 6 foot, 205, 210, whatever Purdy's at right now, now we're talking about a guy that doesn't move as well, doesn't run as well, he's not an elite runner, doesn't have a great strong arm. He's got a good enough arm. He could put it down the field a little bit. And that's where he's at. So just from an attribute standpoint, Hurts has the edge. Okay. And then now Hurts has also accomplished a lot more at this point. So accomplishments aside, just from a strictly talent standpoint, it's because Hurts has a better arm and he's a better athlete. And that's what makes him a better quarterback than Purdy.
So Randy's talking about his rookie year, but he's not a rookie anymore, Randy, and that's the thing. Purdy was better than almost anybody as a rookie, but and he has improved, but Hurts has improved a ton. So I don't think it's really, talking about what he was like as a rookie. Also, that was before they got AJ Brown, so it makes a big difference when you have a true wide receiver one. And maybe Devonta Smith is a wide receiver one too. There, he's pretty damn good. Like you said, one of the best route runners. You were talking about Devonta Smith, right?
Yep. Devontae Smith is legit. Called him Slim Reaper at Alabama for a reason. That's what he is.
It's KD's title. Interesting. I like it. Purdy 10-yard split as fast as Lamar Jackson. There's no way better. It's also the same as CMC's, who's pretty darn quick. Now Purdy's real quick. He's just not fast. That's the thing. He'll get away for a step or two, but then if he keeps running, he'll usually get chased down from behind. He's had a couple long runs this year, so he's making me eat my words a little bit there, but I'll still stand by that. Top speed is one of his limitations, but quickness is definitely elite. But one thing I said was like, I just wish he had an elite trait besides quickness, because quickness is elite for him, but I don't see any other physical trait on Purdy that's elite. Obviously, he's got elite processing, like we talked about, but that's not physical. It's between the ears. Hurts have better legs. He has the best line. Yep, that's true. But he said better have the edge. He has the best line. Yeah, no, that makes a difference. I mean, it's hard to say what Purdy would do if he was on the Eagles. I mean, I play this game a lot with the whole Kittle-Kelsey comparison, because I say if Kittle was on the Chiefs, he would do everything Kelsey does, plus yak and block. It's hard to imagine the difference between having Mahomes versus, Hoyer, Mullins, Beathard, Jimmy G, even Trey Lance, a young Trey Lance. And then obviously now we've had Purdy for a while, and he's done some good things with Purdy, but there's still way more room for improvement in my mind of what we could do with a really elite quarterback. Hurts was picked when he was second round. Top of the second?
51st overall. Yep.
51st, so middle of the second. Okay. Or mid to late second round. Okay. There we go. Should it even be close? Are we talking about the game? Are we doing game predictions this early? I guess we can. It's up to you if you want to jump into that now, or we can wait until
later. Man. Prediction. Well, I gotta go with the Eagles, man.
Of course.
I gotta think we're gonna win. I was worried. I've been worried the last couple games. I think going into this stretch, I said if this past 3-game stretch, I said if we come out of it 2-1, we're killing it, and we're 3-0. So going into this one now, it's kind of like, well, if we can drop one, this one's probably an okay one to drop, because when we play all the playoffs again, we'll win that. We'll figure out what's wrong, So, but we'll say they're going to win, but I think it's close. I think we see the defense struggle to set in, the offense struggle to set in early for the Eagles. 49ers jump out, I'll say at halftime, probably 17-10. And then as they get a field goal before the end of the half, Eagles will come back tied at 17. It'll be neck and neck the rest of the way. Eagles edge it on a Jake Elliott field goal to win. Going to go 34-31.
Wow, very specific. I like it. I'll just say 2017 Niners. I think it's going to be much more of a defensive struggle. And I do think the Niners will, like I said, I don't think that the Niners will win if it's a like slugfest and going blow for blow the whole game. But we are front runners and we do, well when we're ahead. So I could see us jumping out to lead and then y'all closing it to be a close game by the end, or where we just manage to hang on to the lead is sort of more what I'm thinking. But we'll see. That's interesting for sure. Randy says elite processor, elite escapability, make sure IQ and awareness 100%.
It's funny because it's like with Hurts, people don't realize that he's an elite processor, because a lot of the routes that they run in the Eagles offense are option routes. So the idea is I'm going to run a route based on the coverage that I have or the leverage that I'm up against. So if I've got a too high, instead of sitting at the top of my route, I might run an in and try to cut underneath that too high, try to get around the linebacker so that I'm open. And so the year before last, during the offseason, during training camp, Hurts would walk up to all these different guys, those receivers on the team, and he'd say, hey, we're playing this type of coverage. Here's the play call. What's your route? So he's quizzing them through incessantly every opportunity, trying to get a little bit better, make sure he's on the same page. So when you've got that many option routes to the point that, you're going around, you're quizzing your receivers, you're making sure everybody's on the same page, it just tells me that, you can be an elite processor too. With 50% of defenses approximately in the NFL right now are disguised looks. So you give somebody a look pre-snap and then you drop into something else. So I think Hurts is a very good processor in his own right, especially with the way that offense is designed in Philadelphia. I don't think he gets credit for it, though.
Interesting. There you go. Randy says, bookies know what they're doing. I go by them. So what's your answer for why the 49ers are favored?
49ers are favored because, first off, Jalen's been dealing with a knee injury. And definitely looks like he probably tweaked it a little bit more, played through it against Buffalo. He doesn't take a day off. I think that's the first thing. Secondly, Lane Johnson probably doesn't play again at right tackle. The books probably see San Francisco as a much bigger threat than Buffalo at this point. And so based on the last couple games, Philadelphia being close, they're basically taking the shot. Their averages are probably coming out saying that the 49ers have a really good chance to win this game. So they're going to go ahead and roll with that.
There you go. There was somebody who reported, let's see here, Olivia Rayner. Is she a pretty big Philly Inquirer? Doesn't sound like a sports thing.
Yeah, Philly Inquirer, there's a lot of jokes about that. So
okay, because she was saying he should play. But I was just looking through. Somebody, Mitch this morning was saying that he should play. Also, Ryan from BSing Sports yesterday was saying he thought Lane would play. He thought he was held out against the Bills just because, like, if you guys are going to lose one game, losing to the Bills is a lot more palatable than losing to the Niners because
outside of the conference, yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. That'll be interesting to see about Lane Johnson. I'm kind of expecting that he will play. The question marks for me are like, will Dallas Goedert be back? That's a big one.
Which he has to come off the injured reserve to come back, so that's highly unlikely.
There you go. Okay, and then Fletcher Cox, it sounds like, has been ruled out. Was that correct, or doesn't seem likely to play? Or I don't know. Maybe I should look him up.
Who is that now?
Fletcher Cox.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't have anything on his status. I'm assuming no. It didn't look too good Sunday when he got hurt. So.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, hopefully he heals up quickly. I never root for injuries. Let's see here. Shell says Niners have signed some people recently and released some also. I haven't been too close on any of that because the Eagles defense is bad. I don't know if I'd say that, Randy. They have a great D line. They may be some people have been saying that Bradbury's been struggling a little bit, and maybe your other safety.
He has a little. He has a little.
And linebackers, but now there's this news that Shaq Leonard is visiting the Cowboys and the Eagles today. So that would be a huge get. He was one of the best inside line, but when healthy, he's
That would
had
be
back
awesome.
issues. But sheesh, uh, I heard it from an Eagles friend a few days ago, and I was like, no, boo. And sure enough, here it's starting to come out now. That's our favorite to keep.
Oh yeah.
It up. Interesting. That's why they're struggling to win games. He says it's because of the defense. Ugly games, terrible. Well, also Jalen Hurts' turnovers too, right?
Yeah, there's been a bunch of really weird turnovers the last few weeks. That's been one thing. And the Bills are really good, Randy. They really are.
They're good. They're
Um,
just
their
missing Trey
record,
White, uh, Milano, and Daquan Jones at all three levels, but that's
their record doesn't indicate it yet, but they are. I mean, Josh Allen is playing so well. It's not even funny. Everybody sits there wants to focus on the interceptions that he's thrown. Do you realize he's like third in the league in yards and second in attempts and first in passing touchdowns?
well,
Like
and
that guy is killing it.
some of those are arm punts. They're like third and long, you know, heave it up 50 yards downfield.
Yeah,
And
basically.
worst
Yeah.
case scenario, it's intercepted, and it's basically an arm punt. So not all interceptions are critical. Also, I mean, earlier this season there was an interesting stat that came out, which was interceptions versus interceptable balls, and some interesting ones to me where Josh Dobbs had thrown 8 interceptable balls and had 0 interceptions, and Brock Purdy had thrown 4 interceptable balls and had 0 interceptions. You know, someone like Mac Jones, who somebody's found an old tweet of mine where it was like an NFL memes, and they had the dragons, and they had like they had Mac Jones as like the powerful dragon in the middle. Basically, all the other 4 big quarterbacks in the 2021 draft as goofy dragons, including Trevor Lawrence, Fields, Zach Wilson, and Trey Lance. And I said this one will be fun to come back to because that's kind of like my key line on Twitter and X. I say that whenever I think something's full of it, and I've never been a big fan of Mac Jones, I put that out there. And all these people came back to it this week, and they're like, "Oh, this is funny! Come back!" And I'm just waiting because like I can't do it because part of it is the Trey Lance thing, where I was a big Trey Lance guy. He still is TBD. So until he proves himself, I can't really dance on the grave of Mac Jones or anything. But what was my point? I'm lost now. I mean, so like the arm punts. Uh, you know, Purdy had 4 interceptable balls and interceptions. It's like, okay, this is going to catch up. And sure enough, he started throwing some interceptions in those losses, and even threw one Thursday in our win against the Seahawks. But the one that really got me was not the ones that had been getting lucky, like Mac Jones, Dobbs, and Purdy. It was poor Matt Stafford, and I hate to say it because he's a Rams, but I got to be fair. The guy had thrown 3 interceptable balls, 1 less than Purdy, and instead of having 0 interceptions like Purdy, he had 5. And I'm like, oh my god! And so that happens to Josh Allen too, where he throws it and hits his receiver right in the hands, and they tip it up, and it gets intercepted. So not all interceptions are created equal. As for people that want to bash on Josh Allen, I've been real steadfast in keeping him in my elite category. Like I got Mahomes, Josh Allen, Burrow, Herbert, and those are like my lock, elite guys. Then on the friend, I would have Rodgers in there, but he's out. When he comes back, assuming he's close to 100%, I'll probably pop Rodgers back in there. But like then I have like Hurts and Lamar right there on the edge, right? Are they elite? They're close. They're starting to make a claim for it. And maybe Trevor Lawrence, but he, God, he looks so bad against us. It's hard to, as good as our D is, it's hard to give him credit for being an elite. But anyway, where do you stand on elite QBs?
Well, I think you got 3 in the league right now that are elite. You mentioned, and they're all elite for different reasons with Mahomes and Allen and Burrow. Those are the top 3 quarterbacks, period. I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think that Burrow for his timing and anticipation, Mahomes for just being Mahomes, and Allen for basically being this big giant physical freak that has a cannon of an arm. And That's what makes those guys special. When you look at a guy like Hurts too, we're talking about him being on the fringe. It's his leadership. That's what makes him his intangibles. That's what makes him so elite. Is that he's the heart and soul of the Philadelphia Eagles team. He's the reason that they get up and they go play when they're down. He's the reason that they make big thing. They get the stuff done in the clutch. That's what they've done all season long. So you can sit there and criticize the defense. I think it's all fair. It's fair game, especially with the way they played. But end of the day, when it comes down to you need a big play, who are you going to trust more in the league than Jalen Hurts and his team to get it done? Because that's what they've done it better than anybody so far. They're 10-1. So and then when you talk about Lamar, it's his athletic ability. That's what makes him that borderline elite guy. I don't think Trevor's up there right now. Trevor is had a real step back year. Hasn't looked the same. Really just struggling to do basic stuff at the quarterback position. It's been weird to see. I'm not real impressed with him. I have liked Dak a lot this year, and that pains me to say. I hate the Cowboys with a flaming passion. But Dak has played extremely well this year for the most part. I mean, it's been up and down with that offense. That's not all on him, but he's looked like he's been dealing some dimes. He's been playing extremely well. I'm trying to think who else, because Burrow's hurt right now. He's out for the year, which is tragic. Really, that's when we talk about elite quarterbacks. That's really the group right there. There's nobody else you can really. There's people that want to be up there, but that group, that's about it.
There you go. Randy says that the Bills just got that CB from Green Bay and lost. Well, John knows that CB. That's Rasul Douglas, right? He was an Eagle.
He was
before he went to Green Bay, right? If I recall,
he's a nickel. Yep, nickel.
Yeah. He's a good corner, but he's no Trey White. And they also were missing more than Trey White too. Weren't they missing their other?
They got guys missing everywhere on that defense right now. Yeah. It's not even funny. I'm
trying to remember their second corner's name, because he was out for a minute too. I don't know if he still is. So he's also first turnovers in the last 5 years. That's Josh Allen. Yeah, but like I said, not all turnovers are created equal. So, and he's asked to do a lot. A lot of times he's the leading rusher.
Yeah, let's talk about this comment right here, Randy, because look, they always lose games. Look at the last one. Yeah, I'm going to tell you exactly why they lost the game. Because Gabe Davis beat his guy straight off the line of scrimmage in overtime, was wide open in the end zone. A general rule as a wide receiver, especially when you're going up against a zero blitz, when you beat your guy, just keep going. Don't do anything. Even if the route calls for you to run a corner. Like I think in that case it did. It was a smash concept. Outside receiver runs a quick hitch. He was in the slot. He runs a corner. Well, guess what? He runs a corner. He breaks that rule. The rule where if you've got your guy that bad beat in a one-on-one situation, no help over the top, just go. And Allen remembered that rule and threw the ball out there, and Davis runs the other way, runs away from it. So that's why they lose that game right there. And Gabe Davis really struggled this year. He's been really struggling this year and just not making catches. He's actually put a couple of them up off of his hands that have been intercepted. Davis is not this great, solid player that everybody thinks that he is.
I don't think he's solid at all. I say all along that Josh Allen only has one elite weapon, and that is Stephon Diggs. Just like
Kincaid is going to come around. Dalton Kincaid is going to come around.
Oh, yeah, out of Utah? Is that where?
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, okay, maybe. But, for now, Stephon Diggs is the only established elite weapon in Buffalo, and just like Kelsey's the only established elite weapon in KC. Both those guys are playing with their one arm tied behind their back this year with just one elite weapon. And when you compare it to like Hurts or Purdy, who have this embarrassment of riches of weapons, it's hard to compare because, also Hurts has the better line, obviously, than anybody else too. So that helps too. Alternative interceptions. He's laughing at it. No, they're not all created equal. Elite Allen. He is elite. We both agree. So give me 3 stats that are huge stuff. Oh,
whoa. Look, when we talk about elite, if we're going to make it all about statistics, no. It can't be.
No,
It
because
can't be. It's
there's
got
that
it's got to be about
saying, there's
ability.
lies,
All right.
there's damn lies, and then there's statistics, because they can be kind of bent to fit whatever narrative you want to throw out there, and not always, but I mean a lot of times, and so the stats without context mean very little. Just like we're saying, I mean the perfect example of that is QB wins. And just look at Matt Stafford, 12 years on the Lions, 0-3 in the playoffs. First season on the super team Rams, he goes 4-0 playoffs and wins a ring. Like, same quarterback. And then O-line gets injured, few guys leave. Now they're back in the dumps again. Same quarterback. Like, surrounding cast makes a huge difference. Huge
And
difference.
when you talk about Allen, he has a top 5 arm. Honestly, it's probably a top 3 arm in the league.
Top 1 arm.
Well, when you see this Joe Milton guy come into the NFL next year,
maybe not arm talent, but arm power.
no arm power, but strong arm, very strong arm, elite improviser, elite mobility. So when the play breaks down, Josh is elite at making something happen. Also, when you need a quarterback to run and get up some yards, he is elite at making that happen as well. So we're talking about elite arm strength. We're talking about elite improv, and we're talking about elite running ability, athletic ability. At that size, with that freakish athletic ability, there's nobody close to Josh Allen.
I agree. I mean, I think the guy's elite. I've been saying it. People have been on him and trying to say that Purdy's better than Josh Allen. I'm just like, dude, Josh Allen, we would destroy the league if we had Josh Allen. And people just can't understand how good both Hurts and Purdy have it. I mean, if we're not the cushiest QB job in the NFL, then the Eagles is. And the only one that's close is Tua. But Tua doesn't have the defense that we have, or you have, So the Miami defense is trash, dumpster juice. Bill Stink, come for the East Coast. Oh, jeez. Dak is balling against teams playing for draft picks. I mean, there's some truth to that. How do you think Brady got his 250? Well, yeah, AFC East, no doubt, was bad for Brady, but the AFC East is good now. I mean, the Jets are decent. The Dolphins are really good. The Bills are, I think they're just injured, but I mean, there's a point where I thought they were the best team of the season when they smoked the Dolphins after the Dolphins smoked Denver 70-20. I was like, they look like the best team in the NFL. But right in that game, Trey White went down. I was like, I knew they were getting Von Miller back, but I didn't think that a little extra pressure is going to make up for one of the best corners in the league going out. It's tough. Is it playoff wins or Super Bowls that make? Oh, no, he doesn't have that. But like I said,
okay, Randy, if you want to bring this up, is it the playoff wins or the Super Bowls that make Purdy elite?
Oh, damn. Well, he does have 2 playoff wins. He beat Seattle and beat the Dallas win was nice.
I'm pretty sure Josh Allen's got a couple playoff wins too.
Yeah, but he wasn't never 2-0. But still, he didn't have the same
because of overtime. That's why he's not 2-0.
And because of the 13 seconds with Tyreek, his defense couldn't stop Tyreek Hill for 13 seconds.
Yeah, see,
like that's blame Josh Allen for that, though, right?
Yeah, it's all his fault. The defense couldn't play. All his fault.
If it's not his stats. So a lot of people, are into the stats, the box scores, but the stats, I mean, they mean something, and so do QB wins. I mean, when I said the thing about Stafford, I'm not trying to say that QB wins don't mean something. There's a reason why Pro Football Reference keeps track of QB wins and losses, QB records. It matters. It means something. It just doesn't mean everything, and it doesn't mean nothing. It means something. There's a little bit to it, but you got to look at the context also. So.
Okay, so if this is the big argument about stats and everything, Randy, if the 49ers had the opportunity to get Josh Allen right now, would you keep Purdy over Josh Allen? Or would you be excited to bring in Josh Allen?
I'd be excited. That would be over the moon. Josh Allen, even Justin Herbert, I think is better than Purdy. There's some questions about Herbert now. It's starting to stack up against him because they've been a little healthier and he's still struggling to get those W's. For a long time, like when they played us last year, they were missing their wide receivers 1 through 3, both tackles, a lot of their defensive tackles. Joey Bosa was out. I mean, they were walking wounded, and they still made it a hell of a game against us last year. So the Chargers, that is. I want to say San Diego, LA Chargers, not San Diego.
The one thing about Miami that they're doing is they're trying stuff that the rest of the league is not trying right now. And I got respect for them because that's one thing that not a lot of people are doing in the NFL right now. Right now, it's you can listen to anybody that, worked in schematics and roster building, different things. It's been crazy. The absolute mediocrity that's being promoted in the sense of let's just do what everybody else is doing so that we don't lose our job, because then we can say, well, everybody else is doing it too. That's why we're doing it. And the Dolphins are doing all kinds of crazy, awesome stuff schematically. They're a lot of fun to watch. So I've been really happy with that.
Yeah, Mike McDaniel's a genius, and he's a workaholic. He's crazy. We've missed him for sure. Some of the creativity that we used to have is not there anymore. But we've, just bludgeoned it with personnel, with CMC, the Avengers, as Nick Wright likes to call them. To be fair, stats do change week to week. They're not going to be high each week. We all get that right. That's true. You guys are getting slayed. As long as you say so, Randy. No, we like it. No, I mean, and we want dissenting opinions. We don't want an echo chamber or people to just be here. Oh, you're great, and
Yeah. See, look, Randy. If you don't want Josh Allen, I can't take you seriously anymore, man. I'm sorry. I can't do it.
I like Randy.
I would take Josh Allen over Jalen Hurts. I would. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'd take him over everybody but Patrick Mahomes and maybe Burrow. I just think Burrow, the reason why I have Allen ahead of Burrow is weapons. I think Burrow has better weapons with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd and Mixon versus, although, yeah. Anyway, Steve-O Supremo in the house, looking out, peeping in. Welcome, Steve-O. Said is Tua elite too. That's what I said to people that were like, oh, Purdy's elite because he's leading the league in passer rating. And I'm like, did you say that about Tua when he was leading the league in passer rating? I don't think you did. I didn't. So I don't think he's elite.
No, not really. He's got a lot of really good things that he does, but he's not elite.
But he's got Tyreek, and he's got Waddle, and he's got Mostert, and that makes a lot of difference. Mostert is second in the league in rushing after CMC. I just saw that today. Red Jet Shell's crying because Randy's slaying us. Hilarious. I'm a 3-headed fire dragon right now. Yeah, and so humble too, Randy. No, it's fine. I eat
creator. Or is that crayons? I think that's supposed to say crayons.
Oh, damn. The gloves are coming off. It's like a battle royale. Grandpa Slay is still good.
He's hanging in there. He is.
Nick was saying he's unhappy with the Eagles' corners because they're old, and Bradbury's been getting cooked lately. But I guess he did have the pick against the Bills, right?
Yeah, I think he did. So
that'd be a huge mistake. Let's see here. Tommy usually has something derogatory. I guess Grandpa. So usually it's towards us, though. Something derogatory towards us when he joins. This is great. So okay, we said that. Nope, Mensa member. Ah, damn. Look at the big brain on Randy. Damn. John, wow. Oh, I can't believe it.
The best part, Randy, what we said was he's elite because he's got 3 things that he is among the best, if not the best in the league at. That's what it is. I don't look at stats. I never look at I can't say I never do. I rarely ever look at stats, and the reason for that is because statistics don't tell the full story all the time. I look at the evaluation. I look at what guys are capable of doing. I compare them to the rest of the league, and that's because that's part of what evaluating is from a talent standpoint. That's what the draft is all about. That's what all these like football is such a subjective sport because there's a million different ways that you can watch it. There's a million different ways you can look at it. Uh, I cannot see in any place in any world where Josh Allen is not an elite guy because he has a top 3 arm in the league. He's a top 5 athlete and he's a top 5 improviser. He just is, and if the play breaks down, he's going to get outside the pocket. If he takes off running, he's really hard to bring down because he's 6'5", 245, and he's strong as an ox. If he gets outside the pocket and he doesn't run, he looks to throw, he's got a cannon of an arm to make it happen. That's amazing.
Absolute cannon. Yeah, good luck tackling him. He's got that farm boy strength. Real quick, let me do a quick commercial break. The logo you see up in the corner, the TTG, that's the Travelstead Group. They do retail and retail and hospitality logistics. There we go. Transportation and warehousing for brick and mortar. They do FFE, which is fixed furniture and equipment. OSE, which is operating supplies and equipment. New store openings, rollouts, relocations, decommissions. From the first mile to the final mile and everywhere in between, Travelstead has you covered. Let them know how they can help you via air, ocean, or land. Closed loop solutions for retail and hospitality. They're Nick and Henry are the go-to guys there. They have 100% US-based support. There's always sort of fine-tuning with complex operations like this, but sometimes snafus too. Good to know you won't end up in some call center overseas where they have no clue what you do. Their website is in the description for the show. My YouTube about page, my Twitter bio. It's also on Insta or Facebook if you follow me there. Click the link, check out the video. Make sure you tell them Ted sent you. Thanks for letting me pay the bills, John. Appreciate it. I also know that we're running short on time. How are you? Got about 3 minutes, 2 minutes?
Yeah, about that.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, what were some burning desires? Anything that you wanted to cover that I may have missed? We talked about, predictions, what we have to do to win. Obviously, we can't both root for each other's teams, but we can root for a good game and no injuries. So let's hope for that. You obviously had the Eagles winning the NFC and getting the number 1 seed then, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I think that pound for pound, they've been the best team in the league up to this point, just with the way they've been able to finish every week. That's what makes them scary, is the fact that they can close out games when things are tight. They're going to play down to the very last whistle, and they're going to give you every bit that they've got at it the entire way. So real excited about what the rest of the season looks like. Really excited about this game. I think that if Lane Johnson does end up starting at right tackle, it's a different game. It's going to be really difficult to get pressure. He's one of the best pass protectors in the league because of the way that he plays it.
Start.
Yeah, I don't think he's given up a sack in 4 or 5 years.
The mind of a center is what Greg Olson kept calling. I was ready to strangle him.
No, he drops. He's really good at using his length to neutralize the defender when he's dropping into his back step and keeping that distance and sort of making the defender pick a way to attack him. And all that delay, all that thinking that I just explained takes a second or two for that to happen, and then by the time they start the attack, he just engages them and the ball's out. So that's why he's the best at what he does. He's got the elite, length and strength combination.
He's incredible.
He is. He's been amazing.
No doubt about it. No, but that did drive me nuts in the NFC Championship game, and he did it in the Super Bowl too. And I think I saw him do some of it this year too before he got injured.
No, we got Tony Romo calling the Super Bowl this year. Better not be them damn Cowboys. That's all I got to say.
No, we'll keep him out if you don't. Don't worry about that. But it is interesting that we could take first place if we beat you this weekend, and then the Cowboys beat you next weekend. We would be in first place, but then I could see us giving it right back. Like I said, dropping one to the Ravens on Christmas Day. So I would say don't be too crestfallen if you end up losing in the next 2 games. you guys could end up back in first place. And then we had a local radio station saying they thought it might be better, oddly enough, not to be in second place this year, because the second seed, that is, if things stay the way they are anyway, where you'd be playing the Lions first instead of like us or the Cowboys first. So anyway, I thought that was kind of an interesting thing and interesting food for thought. I don't know if we'd end up as second seed, but I guess the Lions, the thing about the Lions is they have such an easy schedule. It's hard to see them dropping many more games, but we'll see, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much it for today, folks. I want to thank everybody for showing up. I want to thank John. Make sure you follow him at Draft Vogel on Twitter and X, and also at Draft Vogel on YouTube. The link to his channel is there too. Make sure you give him a like and subscribe. And I'll just say peace and go Niners. And you want to give us a Fly Eagles Fly or whatever you say? Oh, just the silent flap. Right on. Well, best of luck other than against us. And thanks again for coming on, John. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ted.